In this episode, we'll be looking into the case of hydrogen. This is Chris Trade. Alright guys, so yeah, we're going to be looking into the hydrogen energy sector and see if it is actually worth investing. This is a spin-off from a previous video that I did in uranium, in terms of allocating some funds and building up a bit of an energy portfolio. So if you haven't watched my uranium video, please, I highly encourage you to go and watch it and then jump back to this video so you can understand my mindset and how I'm looking at things. And I'm going to be presenting a couple of facts through in this video and why I'm actually getting very excited about hydrogen. So I haven't invested yet into hydrogen, but I am looking at a couple of companies in terms of that's catching my attention, and an ETF, a particular ETF that's caught my attention that I'm looking to dip my toe into. But I've discovered that hydrogen, at the end of the day, this isn't a 12-month investment or a 2-year investment cycle for me. This is actually a 30 to 40 to 50 year investment. In other words, this is actually a generational investment. This is something that I want to hand over to my kids to build up their portfolio. And this all syncs in with the 2050 global initiative of reducing carbon to net zero. And hydrogen has got a future into this. And it's ended up being quite staggering how big of a role hydrogen potentially has got to play. Now, I say potentially because hydrogen is speculative right now. And I want to just go through some of the facts quickly through with you guys, and you can understand my mindsets and what I'm looking at. So, as I explained in my previous video, you've got energy sitting at about 73.2%, and vast majority of it is making up from the industrial sector and the transportation sector. And this is really the two that I want us to focus on right now, because this is where hydrogen is going to be playing quite a crucial role in terms of competing with the electric vehicles in transportation, but also in terms of the industrial usage, energy use in industry. And that would be taking your steel production plants and turning them into green steel production plants using hydrogen technology. So I want to actually quickly show its applications. So if we go to this particular website, so if you have a look, it's got application in hydrogen vehicles, it's got application in synthetic fuels, application in upgrading oil, biomass, ammonia, fertilizer, metals refinery, other end use cases that again would be like your steel production cases. That would also be in terms of storage, hydrogen storage, and also in heating of homes. So these are its various applications, and it's quite a big application. I mean, this alone here, from vehicle applications, fuel applications, and then, you know, the metal refineries and steel production plants, and then storage and heating. This is a massive market just on those alone, and going into adding further hydrogen power to the electric grid and so forth. But there's a lovely synergy between hydrogen power and nuclear power, uranium power. And I actually want to speak to that very quickly. So this is the Palo Verde power plants in Arizona. And pretty much these plumes that you can see is steam. And this, now you can start to see how hydrogen can start playing a role and extending the life capacities of nuclear power plants. Because you can convert all of these plumes, these steam plumes, into hydrogen power. So now you've got a second source of electricity generation that could be powered into the grid. So hydrogen can play a very crucial role in terms of the uranium and nuclear space itself. So it's adding more catalysts into that industry. Hence why I touched first on the uranium video itself, and then going into the hydrogen. So hydrogen seems to start getting very exciting for me in terms of this type of interplay, this cross-pollination, that the potential that it has. This is from a website called Value the Markets, and it came out on the 29th of March 2021. And pretty much the Bank of America made a statement that the hydrogen energy sector has got a potential of 11 trillion market. In other words, 11 trillion US dollars of investments into hydrogen power. And what was quite interesting is that they said that consequently the economic revenue potential is seriously impressive. Green hydrogen could help out the emissions by a third, thereby providing 11 trillion worth of infrastructure investment opportunities over the next 30 years. This would amount to an annual revenue of 2.5 trillion US dollars, or even 4 trillion US dollars per annum. This is from the Hydrogen Council, and the hydrogen deployment acceleration with more than 300 billion in project pipeline, that's current, and then including 80 billion in mature projects. So what they mean by that in terms of mature products, these are projects that have been signed off, they've gotten approval, it just needs to go to building phase now, or there's projects currently in the building phase, and there's projects that have been completed. That would make up that 80 billion in terms of mature projects, but there's still another 300 billion in the project pipeline. Right, this is Linde, and they are a German Irish type company. They actually got their headquarters in Ireland, Dublin, as well as having offices in Germany, and they've won some applications or projects there, which I'll get into in a bit. But they also iron out America in terms of tackling the fuel market in the US. But they seem to be a hydrogen supplier or gas supplier, and it says here that Linde is a leading global industrial gases and engineering company with 2020 sales of 27 billion US dollars. And pretty much, we live our missions of making our world more productive every day by providing high quality solutions, technologies and services which are making our customers more successful and helping to sustain and protect our planet. And if we have a look at some of their projects, this is Linde scaling up to serve the growing hydrogen mobility market in North America. So this speaks to that type of service station, petrol, but it'll be hydrogen service stations. That's actually quite a nice design. And so Linde is currently in the process of retrofitting its Ontario, California plans to produce green hydrogen to fuel the US state's mobility market. So this is going to be a massive industry in terms of providing fuel for hydrogen vehicles. One of the other projects that they're looking into, so this particular project is in Germany, so the Linde Engineering and AGR collaboration on a trend-setting green hydrogen project. Now, Germany is actually going heavy into hydrogen because remember, in my previous video on uranium, they're in the process of shutting down all of their nuclear power plants. So they're investing heavily into hydrogen. So if we have a look at Linde Engineering, Germany has won the official bid for the design and construction of an integrated hydrogen fueling station. This is why Linde is grabbing my attention because they're servicing the field needs in terms of hydrogen vehicles, in terms of hydrogen trucks, and setting up these type of petrol ports. Well, not petrol ports, but these hydrogen ports. Currently, they're piquing my interest. I haven't invested yet, as explained. I'm simply just sussing out the market, and Linde is looking really cool to me right now. The other company that I'm looking into is a company called NelASA, and they're actually based in Norway and Oslo. So it's a Norwegian type company. They are listed on the Norwegian Stock Exchange, but you can trade them as an ARB. They've got I really dig their website, but they've got some really cool projects coming up, and they are quite a big engineering firm, and they are looking at hydrogen production, they are looking at hydrogen fueling, and they are looking at hydrogen storage as well. So if we have a look at some of their projects that they're looking at doing. Right, so this is a project that's happening between the UK and the Norwegian company, NEL Hydrogen. It's from a company called Wood, and they pretty much signed this green deal, and it's a 3-year agreement. to unlock sustainable solutions to global energy challenges. So Wood will work with NEL or NEL Hydrogen to deliver large-scale green hydrogen production plants. And that's what I want. That's really what I want to see. I want to see these type of engineering firms building hydrogen plants, because that's where the money is going to be sifted into. And I want to see companies building storages for hydrogen, and I want to see companies building these type of hydrogen port stations to fuel these vehicles along the highway. So this is currently what I'm looking at. Now, I also came across a ETF. So this is Defiance, and they've got a particular ETF called Hydro, and it's trading at about $26 currently. And it's actually a really nice bag. So clean and sustainable next-gen hydrogen ETF. And if we have a look going down, I just want to show you what is under that particular portfolio or under that ETF. So you got Plug Power, NEL, as I mentioned, Ballard, AFC Energy, ITM Power, Bloom Energy, Ceres Power, Linde, Dawson Fuel Cell, and Air Liquid SA. Now, this is really a nice hydrogen mix itself. So, as explained, I haven't invested yet into hydrogen technology or hydrogen companies. And I'm thinking right now, I actually want to play the ETF currently, just to start dipping my toe into hydrogen. And before I really start looking at sussing out these particular companies. But right now, as mentioned, Linde is piquing its interest to me, and so is NEL currently. But I want to do further investigations on these other particular companies, and eventually I want to start backing the winning horse, so to speak, in this particular industry. So right now for me, ETF seems to be the right play until I get a further better understanding of this particular market and its further understanding of who the main players are going to be. But this is why ETFs are fantastic. You get an entire bag full of hydrogen players, and you're getting your toes wet into the space until you start sussing out who the main dominant players in, and then you can start looking at investing directly into these type of companies, because I want to earn some dividends off of this as well. So this is some of the criteria. So I've got a checklist that I've got that I'll be going through, but I think this particular ETF from Defiance ETF is fantastic to get started. So this is what I'm going to be playing right now, and this is what I'm getting into, is on the ETF side, and then, as mentioned, start getting into these other companies. There's one more thing that I do want to mention, which I thought was quite fascinating. Hydrogen itself is looking to become a spot market. In other words, you will see hydrogen listed amongst platinum, uranium as a spot trading price. So I'm looking forward to that, but they're saying that's about a decade away. So this is a very long play. I have to mention that, this isn't something where the next 2 or 3 years you're just gonna, see this market boom into trillions. It's a very long play. I mean, you're looking at 30 years play on this, but I'm liking the feel. I'm liking the projects being mentioned. I'm liking 11 trillion worth of investments in terms of infrastructure, and I believe there is appetite for this. In fact, if you have a look at really all governments' policies around the world, they are including hydrogen into their policies, into their framework narrative. So this is why hydrogen to me is looking very exciting. But yeah, that's pretty much my coverage on hydrogen as a market right now. And I'm very excited to see how this turns out. And there will certainly be more videos in on this. And this is Chris Trade. Peace out.